So, good afternoon, everyone. For those who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, I'm Ahura Baranian, and I always say it's a typical Yorkshire name. So, it's very nice to see so many faces. Thank you for coming along. So today I'm going to talk about my journey, and I'm also going to give you some tips regarding PhD. So I've kept the aim quite simple, so it's just to pass on some tips regarding PhD marathon. What PhD entails of, I actually divided it into 3 main stages that I'm going to discuss and tell the do's and don'ts during those stages. I would like to recommend some strategies, both to students, supervisors, and also to university. And at the end, if we may, we could have an open conversation of Q&A. So, just before I start, my presentation has some reality checks. It might disappoint many people. It doesn't have any p-values. It might make a lot of people happy. It also has some jokes, idioms. But lastly, individualism is very important. So my story might be very different to a lot of people. So yeah, it might not relate to everyone. So I just wanted to get those things out. So this is actually the rationale of my talk. So I actually started to plan my talk about a year and a half ago, and it was during my write-ups that I really needed some help. And I wanted to see what's out there, what talks out there, and is there any tips for PhD students? And I struggled to find anything decent. And the other thing, whatever I found, there was this negative stigma attached to PhD student, and we become kind of a survivalist. And whoever I spoke to during my difficult time, they kind of said, well, you're a PhD student, you know, it's kind of normal to have difficulties during a PhD. And that really bothered me, hence the talk. So I don't like the badge of honor of being a survival. I want to just be a PhD student. So my story. Has anybody run the London Marathon? Yes. Okay. Charlotte, do you know where I am right now? In the... Oh, okay. Hossein, do you know where I am? Yeah, where I am in the Akas? Pardon? Is it outside the road? No. Yeah, so I'm right at the Buckingham Palace, which is about 300 meters away from the finishing line, and this is exactly where I am right now with my PhD. So I've had my VIVA, but I feel exhausted. I'm totally drained. I'm very proud. But I can also see the finishing line, but I'm not there yet. But I know I'm kind of finished. So I started my PhD in 2013, and after a very glorious year, I had a mental breakdown, and I was diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety. And I took a year out, and then I came back to it, and I went part-time. So this is my 7th year, but I'm still here, and I'm very proud to be here and carry on doing my PhD. So this is the first stage. It is between, if you're a full-time student, so it's first year. If you're part-time, it's year 1 and 2, and I call it the honeymoon because most things are quite rosy. You get these questions or a conversation. So a lot of people say, "So you're doing a PhD?" And you say, "Yes, I'm doing a PhD." And they say, "Oh, you must be so clever." And then there's this paradox in your head. You question yourself, am I really clever? Am I really clever? So there is that kind of conflict of identity within yourself that kind of fools you in terms of your self-confidence delivery, which can be very good as well, getting on with your work. So yeah, your self-confidence could reach rocket high because you're doing a PhD, you're making the massive change in the science and world, and so that's the honeymoon period. So the next slide is about the don'ts during the first year. So you might feel guilty because you go to the office and you end up doing nothing. So make sure if you do that, you don't feel guilty about it, but make sure you record it. So make sure you know by end of the month how many days in that month you didn't do anything. And that should start worrying you in terms of the first few months. So you need to observe your progress. Don't sleep with your PhD. So what I mean by that is don't start having a relationship with your PhD in terms of have a life, so separate yourself with your PhD. So when you go to bed, you think about other things. When you go to the shower, this PhD is part of your life, not all of it. That's very key. A lot of people, because they're so in the first year, they have so much energy and power and good feelings, they can kind of mix that up, and PhD becomes alive. So don't do that. And the other thing could become a hobby or a habit. So you can come at 11 a.m., have 2 hours lunch, have a quick coffee break, and then leave at 3 o'clock. Don't do that, because then you get into this rhythm of associating your PhD with that kind of a day, and that is not healthy. The last one, it's, as we all know, there are lots of politics within the universities, and while you're there, you can get mixed up within the department. You don't want that. You need to stick to what you're good at. What you're good at is your PhD and finishing your PhD. So don't try to be within that politics between the departments. Okay, so the do's. The first one is very important. So you need to discuss expectation, and that's first of all with your supervisor. So what is your supervisor expecting from you? That could be every week, every month, every year. And you need to discuss what is your expectation from your supervisor. How many times do you need to meet them? You need to discuss them early on. The second one is to write. A lot of people, a lot of freshers in first year, they ask me, what shall I write? Well, you can write your literature review. You can write your method section. You can also write, at the moment, there's this massive currency of systematic review. You can start doing a systematic review, which can help you in the latter stage of your PhD. So I just put, if you have, let's say you have 100 off days, so you write 100 words a day, and within 2 years, you can have your thesis ready. And I know writing every day is difficult, but 100 words a day is not a lot. You can write 500 words one day, and not any words for 3 or 4 days. If you stick to that, you finish your thesis. I promise you. If you feel you're wasting time in the office or in the lab, just leave. Just go for a walk and come back. You can get into that rhythm of wasting time, and that becomes a rhythm. So you need to do other things, part-time jobs. You can take on belly dancing if you wish. It's a good exercise. You need to organize your files. So that 24,253 is the number of files I have at the moment for my PhD. And if I'm looking for something out of that, you need to have it in order, so they need to have a specific name. So don't save everything on your desktop. That's suicide. The backing up, you're a postgraduate student, which we advise this to undergraduate students. So backup. I've had 3 colleagues coming to me and say, I've lost my data, and I'm like, sorry, you should have backed up. Find your solace. So, actually, I just did a cemetery walk today before I came to this talk, and that's where I find my peace. There's a cemetery on the road. And what I'm saying is, it's an area that I find my peace, and that helps me to go back to the office and start working again. Football helped me a lot. If you play sport, if you go to the gym, keep doing that. I know you started running every Friday, Henry, yeah? So that's a good thing. And teamwork, so work as a team. Some of them might be very standard, but I just want to remind you. So the second stage, which is your second year, is the crisis. So now you're like, how the hell am I going to do it? So you have your PhD question, but you might not be able to know, gather in your head how you're going to do it. And in this time, this is where depression and anxiety hit you. So to help with that, you need to talk about it. So they cannot be the elephant in the room. If you feel down, you need to talk about it, starting with your supervisor. So you need to tell them that you're not feeling right, so they can direct you to people. As Nazafi just mentioned, we have a good team of mental health support within ARU. Keep your ears on the ball, so you're there to do your PhD. I made the mistake of doing all random things and I lost my sight on the ball. Second year is very important. I think second year is the most important time. The don'ts. Don't take it lightly. So during my master's, I helped a PhD student. He was a jolly man. He was very friendly and we used to go drinking. But when we went to the lab, he changed so much. He became like a general in the army. He was so serious about his data because he knew how important that is. So if you're collecting data, that's your serious time. Don't joke around. That you need to have a decent data. So that part is very important. Don't over-mourn. You can just continue mourning about your PhD and that could become a snowball effect. So that could ruin your progress. I intimated, so you can intimate, but I would advise people not to intimate easily because one of the most difficult parts of my journey was when I intimated it, and I wanted to come back to it. It was so difficult. So don't do that easily. If you have to do it, don't complicate things. So again, stay focused. This is your PhD. Get on with it, basically. The ambitious factor, yeah, because so you can start with one question, and that question leads to another question. That question leads to another question, and it carries on. But try to don't get over ambitious. So keep it with a limit. So don't get too over ambitious. So second year, again with publications, it's a very good thing when it comes to the end part. But try to focus on your thesis as well, because at the end of the day, you get marked with your thesis rather than publication. Publication can help you, but keep an eye on the thesis as well. Publication is great, but keep an eye on the thesis.
Writing for a journal?
Yes, right. Yes. I mean, don't do it too much. Don't spend 18 months on one publication, because then you lose sight of your thesis. Don't lose the grip. So I lost the grip. And that picture is me before I start my pitching. Okay, the do's. Put your hands up if you cried in the office. Put your hands up if you've seen people crying in the office. Oh, great, so more people. There's nothing wrong with crying. I've cried so many times in the office, in the lab. And if it helps, it helps. You just cry. You just cry. So cry if you want. Again, be very serious about your data. The red ink. So this is hard because you finish part of your work, chapter, and then you send it to your supervisor, and it comes back with red ink. That hits you. That really hits you. But you need to appreciate the red ink, because the supervisors are trying to help you to get better. And it's very difficult to realize that, but once you realize it, you appreciate it. So now I look forward to see the red ink. That's only making my work be better. Do celebrate your failure. So I've actually gone back to my old job, which is working and teaching children. So I'm in two secondary schools. And one thing that stands out for me is how students are scared of failure or answering questions. And I think that's got some kind of roots within the university as well. So PhD is about failing. You need to fail and then make progress from that. So do celebrate that failure. How do you celebrate? Bottle of wine.
Red, white.
Red. Yeah. How do you celebrate it? So you can look in to see where you go wrong, and you can discuss it with your peers, discuss it with your supervisor, and then correct it from there. Discuss it with the lab technician. That helps you in the future. Sorry, I feel I'm not giving it. Yeah. Treat your mind. So again, if you feel you're not feeling good, you need to treat it. You cannot run a marathon with a broken leg. There are lots of help within the university. There is also lots of help outside the university. There are lots of apps like mindfulness, Headspace. Just make sure your mind is sound. If your mind is not sound, you're not going to do a great job. Keep working alongside the supervisor. So this is a common discussion I have within my peers. There is the relationship between supervisor and student is a difficult one, and you need to have them on board and keep working with them until the end. So it's a difficult one, but try to have them on board. Know your data limit, as I mentioned, so don't collect too much. Just have enough for your thesis. You can collect more. I collected more, and now I'm working on some more publication from that data collection. So don't collect. So the third stage is the cave, and it's usually the final year. It's within your writing up stage. You can become an addict of procrastination because your mind kind of flies everywhere. There are lots of good TED Talks on procrastination. I advise you to watch them because you have this rhythm of your mind just flies everywhere. You're financially unstable because you worry about what's going to happen next. Your family pressure, well, they pressurized me, so whenever I spoke to my mom, she was like, when are you going to finish, when are you going to finish? And the whole family was putting pressure on me. That could happen. I was quite mentally wobbly. Because you have a deadline, there's everything kind of coming against you. But you're almost there. So the last point is very important, because even all those things could happen, but you're almost at the right end. Again, if you look very carefully, you see me in the cave down there.
Right there, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where is that?
I'm joking. That's not
You got this.
So the dogs. So during the crisis of the writing up stage, you look for lights. You're like, okay, so it's November time. I'll wait till the beginning of the year, and I promise I'll be the new Ahura. I'll just crack on. I'll do my best. I'll finish my thesis. And then by January, you say, okay, well, our New Year is not really this New Year. It's 21st of March. Okay, so I'll start 21st of March. I promise to myself I'll be there. So don't look for light. Find it within you. So just tickle yourself inside and get motivated. Don't be negative. Try to stay positive, because things could change and you're kind of running out of energy, and it could be a difficult time, but try to stay positive. Don't fight, and try to debate, because you might have your data, and then they might want you to change a little bit, and then they get that conversation of, well, I did it this way, I'll be all right during my VIVA. So try to critique it and debate it, but don't fight all the work. Again, writing up stage is an option. You don't have to go into the writing up stage. If you finish on time, finish on time. Okay? Don't move the goalposts. Again, with the date, try to have a strict deadline and keep it to that deadline. So don't keep saying, okay, 6 months time, 3 months time. That could happen, and you're just dragging it. Don't try to eat the elephant in one go. So what do I mean by that? You can't eat an elephant in one go. You need to There are vegetarian options available. You need to have it in little pieces. So in your thesis, you need to break it down. Don't think of your thesis as one whole thing. Divide it into 100 small pieces. So you write little pieces and you join them together. Okay, so the do's. Yeah, make sure you talk to the others and you get help. As a matter of fact, last week I asked a first year student, a fresher, to help me with my corrections, and I'm in my 7th year. So that continuous help, it just continues, because that person could help me with my corrections. So there's nothing wrong with asking and working as a team. Love your work, embrace it. So I actually went, when I was looking for that, I went to my first email that I sent to apply for the PhD position. And I was amazed by how energetic I was about doing that PhD. So if that helps, go back to your application and read your proposal. That moves to the next one, which is your motivation pill. Keep motivating yourself. I also went and read the letters my participants sent me, saying the visual impairment I studied, nobody else had looked at it, and how wonderful it is that somebody finally started to investigate that kind of field. And those were my motivation. Do take them. Whatever they are, I don't know what they are for you, but make sure you take your pills. Attend conferences. So you have a great opportunity of going and attending conferences all around the world. And that gives you confidence of talking about your work. And that helps you with your VIVA at the end. So make sure you do that. Your thesis, before you submit it, it needs to be read by your supervisor. And his style or her style, it might be very different to you. So to get to know their style, you need to ask for their thesis. And you need to have it on your desk every day. Look at it. That helps you to get it through your supervisor. Okay? So ask for their thesis. They have it. If they've done it many years ago, you can find it online. Play to the final whistle. So it's kind of like when you submit, you feel you're done, but you're not done. And then you have your viva, you feel you're done, and you're not done. So make sure you play to the final whistle. And I keep telling myself that because I'm not done yet. So make sure you play to the final whistle. Bite the bullet, again, I refer to myself. So I had my viva and I got some corrections. It's very painful, it's very annoying, but I just have to bite the bullet. There's no other choice. I just have to do it to get my PhD. Do try to publish. So this is the part I advise people to try to publish. Publishing is great. It helps you.
But that would be not in the first or second year.
I would argue in the first year you might find it very difficult. If you do a systematic review, you can publish, but if you don't have the data, it'll be difficult. Second year, end of second year, I'll encourage people to publish. But have that parallel to your thesis. Because a lot of the students get to the third year, they have published 3 papers, but they need to go into the writing up stage to get their thesis done. You can make your publication into chapters as well. It might work differently. I'm just find a coach. I looked for a coach for a long time, and I had a few friends helping me. But at the end, I became my own coach. So in the picture, I used to leave myself notes every day. So the next morning I came, I knew what I have to do. So like chapter 8, get chapter 8 done. Almost there, but play to the final whistle. There you go. A, Utopia. So this is when you submit. Make sure you have a break and you give yourself a lot of credit because you've achieved something amazing. I recommend that you don't share your viva date. We had a particular colleague that used to come to the office and ask everyone, ask me, so when are you going to submit? And I was like, I don't know, maybe December. And then he would suddenly say, oh, that's 5 weeks. I would say, oh, that's 5 weeks, and that would add more pressure on me. You don't have to share your VIVA date. You don't have to share your submission date. You don't need that extra pressure. And that's what I'm saying. If you would like to share your VIVA date or your submission date, please do so. Read on your examiners, so who they are, what they do, where they publish, what they're publishing on, and those are very key important. Are they good with stats? Are they not good with stats? Those will lead to the VIVA questions. You need to have a mock VIVA, at least one. It's very important to have a mock VIVA because then you know what's the feeling. So please have a mock VIVA.
With colleagues?
So I had two. I had one with my supervisors and one with my colleagues. Then my supervisor was the chair. So you need to have your supervisor there so the feedback can be discussed between your supervisor and that. This is a stage you need to think about life after PhD as well. So it's a tricky part because you feel tired and you feel like you deserve something, but if you don't plan it, you won't get it. So if you want to stay in academia, if you want to do a postdoc, this is the time because there'll be a gap between your submission and VIVA. So you have some time to plan life after PhD. So VIVA. I loved my VIVA. I really enjoyed my VIVA. I think it was the best part of my PhD. And thinking about it, it's the only time you're going to discuss your work in like a couple of hours with two qualified professional people. And that's your only chance. So make sure you love that time. It's not as scary as it sounds. It's fun, honestly. So try to enjoy it. Preparation is above reading your thesis. So I went back to school and I did my second school stuff when I used to write every notes down and make graphs and everything. So yeah, go back and revise from scratch because you don't know what they're going to ask. Write yourself potential VIVA questions. So have a list of what they might ask. Role play the VIVA with your friend. If you don't have somebody that you can role play with it, I used to do it while I was driving to work. So I used to ask a question and I answer it myself. So that is a practice in your head. You just keep practicing it.
Would you in your head or?
No, I would say it loud. Yeah, if there was nobody in the car. Examine your examiners. So again, who they are, what they're doing, what they feel. Mocks are essential. Ask your supervisor to be on your board. What do I mean by that? Make sure you have your supervisor in your VIVA. Because if there are corrections, he needs to listen or she needs to listen to it. So then you can discuss it with them. If they're not there, it'll be very difficult. It cannot be recorded as well because I checked that. And the VIVAs cannot be recorded. Debates, but the arguments during the VIVA, it's very common because they ask something to kind of poke you or provoke you, and it's your work. You've spent 3, 4, 5 years on it, and you become quite defensive. Try not to do that. Try to have that nice conversation with them, to debate it. What's next? Oh, hello. So what can we gain? So these are a few things I've put on that I've gained. So you're actually gaining the highest level of academia, and that's pretty amazing. And yeah, the next term is a Hurrian phrase, is self-revolution. So I actually had the self-revolution during my PhD. So my whole perception about life, being me, everything kind of changed, and I'm so grateful of that. I'm so grateful of PhD giving me that opportunity of having that revolution. So that's very good. You have you can have an enormous self-awareness. So you become aware of what you're good at, what you're not good at. You're becoming an author. So you've written, you can publish. That is cool. That is very cool. So appreciate these things. You also gain a lot of self-respect. So because of what you're achieving, you respect yourself. You can go all around the world to attend conferences. That's an opportunity that not many people get. And you also gain a lot through friendship. I've had 2 of my best friends do my PhD. And if you're lucky, as I was, you can negotiate the Brexit at number 10. So, just a few recommendations. So you need to ask yourself again and again, why do a PhD? And that could continue within the time you're doing a PhD. And you need to have an answer for that. I also recommend that there should be a personality test or a learning style test before you start. So yourself and your supervisors know what kind of a learner you are. So it doesn't take a year to understand what kind of personality you are, how you learn. That is very key. There are lots of cultural differences. We are a multicultural university. And I know a few students find this difficult. I still stand up when my supervisor walks in the room. And that's my culture, that's my respect for them. He might think I'm weird, but that's how he is. But he's learned that, and that cultural difference is key. Expectations. So you need to discuss expectations. And I hear this question, a PhD level. What is a PhD level? Any volunteer? Go on. Okay, publication, okay. That could be. I don't know the answer. Yeah.
That would be kind of independent philosophy, or maybe you're saying individual.
Yeah. But you need to have that clear while you're doing a PhD. So what is that level? I would more see it as a level of doing the experiments, writing style, all those, being able to put the thesis together. So that's how I see it. But I heard that phrase a lot, and I don't know the answer. So what is a PhD level? I also recommend there needs to be mentors. As I just mentioned, we've come a long way. So we have counsellors. I also recommend statisticians and programming. So if you get stuck, you know where to go. YouTube it. So if you get stuck, put it on YouTube. You can learn a lot from YouTube. Stricter deadline. So I want universities to have a stricter deadline. So if you're not finishing within the time, so basically the goalpost doesn't keep changing and moving. So if there's a stricter deadline, you can be more thorough. We have a couple of colleagues in our building that whenever I pass the office, the door is open. I don't know them, but it feels so welcome that I can just go in and have a chat with them. I know a lot of PhD students have this fear of replying to a supervisor's email, but walking to an office, it could become a difficult position. Have an open door policy. Watch out for the post-PhD hole. So again, make sure you plan what you're going to do next, because that could be a difficult hole. Okay, so as Nazapi mentioned, I started this kind of self-driven, student-driven work this year, and I just asked our students, PhD students within the university, how they're feeling, and they had to reply to me through email, just expressing how they're feeling. It was one question, how are you feeling? And in a nutshell, the PhD students are struggling, but as I said, this should not be normalized. So we shouldn't feel like this. I'll put the report together. I'm going to read a few, if I may. So this is the first one. The thing I've learned with regards to mental health during a PhD is that you have to resist the feeling that what you're doing is not enough, or good enough, or fast enough. Don't beat yourself. I've done it. And mental health deteriorated as a result. The guilt nearly everyone feels when not working on the PhD can take over in a way that is paralysing, and you will get even less done as a result. So that the guilt slide, don't feel guilty. Though I had supervision there was not much connection and cohesion in the team between myself, the first and the second supervisor. That's just a comment about supervisors. Next one. Yes, there were ups and downs in my feelings. However, I appreciate that this PhD process brought substantial positive changes in me. I am satisfied with my achievements. Nothing else could make my time more worthy than doing it. One more. I guess I wanted to do a PhD for such a long time, and after years and years of trying, I eventually got the opportunity. So this was my framework. It was such a privilege to be able to do it and try and never to lose sight of it. So no matter how hard, so many others would never have this chance. So I embraced it as best as I could. So again, I personally feel privileged and honoured to be able to be given this opportunity to do my PhD. So have that privilege within you. It's difficult sometimes, don't it? You have it.